Now welcome friends, myself Ajay Ambore from ABC classes Amravati. Now today we are discussing the very important biological topic, that is nucleic acid. Nucleic acid is what? First of all, nucleic acid is the one biomolecules, and this biomolecule, it was discovered by the scientist Frederick Mischer in 1868. This nucleic acid, why they are given the name nucleic acid? Because of what? It was firstly isolated from the nucleus of the first cell, and they are given the material, that is nuclein, and from this nuclein they are getting the name, that is nucleic, and the conditions of this cell, that is acidic, so that's why they are given the name acids. So this is nucleic acid. Nucleic acid, they are mostly divided into the two categories. One is DNA and second one is the RNA. DNA means what? That is deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA means what? That is ribonucleic acid. First of all, we are discussing this DNA, then we go towards the RNA. DNA, they are made up by the three components, that is nitrogen base pair, sugar molecule, and phosphate group. Nitrogen base pairs, they containing the nitrogens. These nitrogen base pairs are of two types. One is purine, second is pyrimidine. Purines are the double ring structures and pyrimidines are the single ring structure. Purine, there are two types, that is one is adenine and second one is the guanine. Adenine is represented by the A and guanine is represented by the G. So these are the two nitrogen base pairs. These are the double ring structures and these are the purines. Second one, that is pyrimidines. Pyrimidines again are of two types. One is thymine and second one cytosine. Thymine and cytosines, these are the two pyrimidine base pairs and these are the single ring structures. So these are the nitrogen bases. Second one, very important one, components, that is sugar molecule. Sugar molecule, they containing the deoxyribose sugar. The one difference between the DNA and the RNA, that is the sugar molecule. This DNA, they containing the deoxyribose sugar, and RNA, they containing the ribose sugar. The one difference is that one, this deoxyribose sugar, they have the formula, that is C5H10O4, and this ribose sugar, they have the formula C5H10O5, means they containing the one less oxygens and they containing the one more oxygen. So that is the main difference between the DNA and the RNA. Next one, phosphate group, both containing the phosphate group here. The phosphate group, the formula of this phosphate group, that is H3PO4. So this is what? This is the DNA. DNA is the double standard one, and they containing the deoxyribose sugar. And DNA is what? It is a genetic materials of the all organisms, which carries the genetic informations and which transfer from one generation to the next generations, that is DNA. Next one, that is RNA. RNA is what? RNA is also the genetic material of the viruses only. They carries the genetic informations and transfer from one generation to the next generation. This is RNA. RNA is again made up by the three components, that is nitrogen bases, sugar molecule, and phosphate group. Nitrogen bases are what? These are of two types, that is purine and pyrimidines. Purines is the double ring structures and pyrimidines are single ring structures. Next one, these purines, that is like a same, that जैसे हमने देखा कि DNA में जैसे purine bases है, वैसे ही this one RNA also containing the same nitrogen bases, that is adenine and guanines. Adenine is represented by the A and guanine is represented by the G. Next one, this nitrogen bases, that is pyrimidines. Pyrimidines here, that is uracil and cytosine. The very important difference in between DNA and the RNA, in the DNA thymine is present and in the RNA thymine is replaced by the uracil. Both are the single ring structures, but here this DNA, they contain the thymine, and RNA, they replace this thymine by the uracil. This is another difference between the DNA and the RNA. This one. And last one, cytosine is the similar like this one, cytosine and cytosines here. So these are the nitrogen base pairs in the RNA. Next one, sugar molecule, they containing the sugar molecule. Which types of the sugar? That is ribose sugar. DNA also containing the sugar molecule, but in the DNA deoxyribose sugar is present, but in the RNA ribose sugar is present. This is ribose, and they have the formula that is C5H10O5. Means this DNA they containing the one less oxygens, and this one they containing the one more oxygen. Next one, that is phosphate group. Phosphate group means they both containing the phosphate group, means nitrogen base pair sugar molecule and phosphate group, they attaches to each other and they forming the one polymers, they forming the one chain, that is name is the nucleotide. यानी क्या, तो नाइट्रोजन बेस पे शुगर मॉलिक्यूल एंड फॉस्फेट ग्रुप्स दे अटैचेस टू ईच अदर एंड दे फॉर्मिंग द वन स्ट्रक्चर दैट इज न्यूक्लियोटाइड. एंड डीएनए और आरएनए इज द पॉलीमर ऑफ द न्यूक्लियोटाइड. डीएनए और आरएनए क्या है, तो इट इज पॉलीमर ऑफ द न्यूक्लियोटाइड, मीन्स नंबर ऑफ न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स दे कंबाइंस टुगेदर एंड दे फॉर्मिंग द स्ट्रक्चर दैट इज न्यूक्लिक एसिड. सो व्हाट डीएनए एंड द आरएनए, दीज आर द टू. DNA is the genetic materials of the all one, and this RNA is the genetic materials of only the viruses, that one. The main differences is what? DNA they are the double ring structures and RNA is the single ring structures. DNA containing the deoxyribose sugar and RNA containing the ribose sugar. And one another difference is that the nitrogen base pairs, DNA containing the thymine, and this thymine is replaced by the uracil in the RNA. So this is very important topics for the NEET examinations, and they are asking the more questions in that one. इसके बाद हम next देखेंगे the structures of the DNA and the structures of the RNA in the details in next topic. So next we are focusing on the next topic, that is DNA and the structures of the DNA. That is the Watson and Crick model of the DNA. Okay, so thank you.